All right, so I am an older woman and not too old though. My kids like to remind me that I'm getting older quite a bit. But let's talk about I want to share my first birth story. And I'm not that far removed from that first story because my kids are 12 and a half years apart. And I still am parenting one, who's underage. So I have a couple more years left to continue parenting as I am, removing myself from that job. The job of a parent is to work themselves out of a job. So my first birth story, I had no idea what I was in for. I had a lot of horror stories being told, and that was real fun. So my aunt thought she would tell me stories about women down the hall screaming as they gave birth and all her fears. So I have a lot of relatives. Anyways, this was a different aunt than the one who told me to breastfeed when I wasn't ready to. So it's good to have a tribe around you when you give birth at some level, to have some kind of tribe. I had my grandmother who visited the first one, the second one, the third one. Anyways, when I went into birth, the reason why I had like 3 days in the hospital for my first, and the reason why was because I was a little bit impatient, like my son wasn't moving much and it scared me. So I wanted to make sure he was okay. And the doctor said, yeah, well, we're going to induce you, which I already wanted to be like, to have an epidural. My plan was to go through labor with no pain. That was my plan. I didn't want any pain. And obviously that doesn't happen. So I had the works for my first one. I went in. Later on, I would have no medication for my home births. But I went in and he wasn't ready. He just was not ready. And I was being a little bit pushy. I was excited to have him. Looking back, I could have probably had, a candy bar or something to get him moving. Midwives tend to be very into being as natural as you can with your home births, as long as you have like a hospital nearby if something goes wrong, which I did. So I had an epidural and he wasn't ready, and my placenta actually started to separate, and it was scary. And I believe because of the medical intervention and abortion that was forced on me, that he had a risk that shouldn't have been there. So he just wasn't ready. And they put me on Pitocin. And then when the doctor saw that I was bleeding and my placenta was separating, he said, okay, we are definitely getting this baby out one way or another tomorrow, C-section, whatever it's going to take. And they hooked me up to a machine that helped me feel my contractions a little bit, or to navigate, because I had an epidural. And that's, a needle in the back to numb the bottom part of you. And so I couldn't always feel when the contractions were coming. And then they used like forceps to pull him out. So he kind of had a cone head, which was really cute, but he kind of had a cone head, and we just put a hat on him the first couple days because, his head was shaped a little bit off because of those forceps. So it was 3 days in the hospital, and everybody was like, what's going on? Where is she? Why is it taking so long? And I had people calling while I was in, almost in labor, saying, what's taking so long and stuff. And I was just like, no more phone calls, no more. I am trying to have a baby. And then being the type of person I am, we had everyone over right away. to see the new little guy, and I took a shower pretty much while they were visiting and holding him and stuff. It was a you know, not too long of a visit, but enough for me to shower and clean up. And then after we brought him home, I was pretty healthy and up and running. Like as soon as we got home that night, I was making everything, you know, preparations for him, and just very excited to have him. So despite the horror stories, it was really not that bad. So don't let any of that scare you.